Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Velocity Sellers podcast. Today's going to be a little bit of a different episode where we're going to be talking a little bit about Amazon and, getting into the weeds because that's what we are, an Amazon agency. But we're also going to be discussing a little bit of social media. So today's a very special, interesting episode. I'm joined today by two guests, two members of the Velocity family. As always, we've got Stephanie Morrison and Cutter Strebe. If you both don't mind just really quickly introducing yourselves, give us your role, kind of your experience with Amazon and social media. Basically, why are you here? Why are you on the podcast? What gives you guys the qualifications to be here on today's episode?
My name's Stephanie Morrison, and I'm Senior Market Analyst at Velocity Sellers. I've been working with Amazon sellers and with my own brand since 2013. I've been with Velocity since 2020, and I'm happy to be on the podcast with Pete to talk more about product launch and social media.
And my name's Cutter Strebe, head of off-channel social media at Amazon. Just made that up, so maybe we can do something with that. But basically, what I do is I help the brands that we have kind of set up shop offline, off of Amazon, because as we know in the space, off-channel attribution, brand referral bonuses, Amazon's really trying hard to kind of take up market share of the social media networks, everything like that. So I've been in this space for over a decade, personally managed over $150 million in ad spend. I'm also head of Velocity's demand gen internally as well. So I live in the space. This is what we do all day long.
Well, it's great to have you both here. Like I mentioned in our beginning there a little bit, today is an interesting episode. It's actually going to be step zero, sort of, in launching your brand on Amazon. Basically, again, like what do you have to do to get ready for Amazon? Are there any steps that would maybe help you hit the ground running or even sprinting, or even get on a bike and start pedaling really fast, hitting the ground, like the other terms to make it seem like you start off really strong. So I'm very excited to talk to you both about this topic, just learning more about your input, your experience. So let's get right into it. Basically, the first question, Steph, is what I mean to be very broad about it. Like, what is super important for step zero? For before you get on Amazon, what are some things that can really help you out and really make your life a whole lot easier once you do launch on Amazon?
Well, growing the brand from day one is really important. Really looking forward and making sure that you have all of your bases covered. You're not just listing your product on Amazon, you're building your brand everywhere. And I mean, because a lot of people look into launching their brand on Amazon and they think, well, I'll just push sponsored ads and it'll do good. I mean, it'll just show up in front of people and it'll do well. But there's so much more to it than just running sponsored ads, right? There's startup period where you're really kind of doing more, so like I guess we'll get into it in a minute, but your website, social media, and really building a brand presence off Amazon. Nowadays it's so condensed with Chinese sellers that have a bunch of letters as their name, right? And in a lot of categories, that's who you're up against. And if you can really put yourself out there as a real strong brand with a brand focus, you can go a long way, even in categories where there's a lot of reviews or a lot of competitive nature, just because you are a real brand. So just focusing on all the steps before you actually even launch the product on Amazon are ideally important, with step one being just growing the brand off, establishing the brand off Amazon.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of leads me right into the first question for Cutter. First talking point is what do you have to like do to really grow the brand? I mean, like how important are going to be like your advertising on social media? What do you think are some of the best ways to grow your brand off of Amazon?
Cool. Growing the brand and starting a brand, those are two different questions. So
Mm,
starting the brand, if you're starting on Amazon, the one thing I would say is visual cohesion. Um, you want to have your images, your product images, your inserts that go in your packaging, everything that from the bottom of the insert in the package to the packaging itself to the assets that you use in the Amazon store, those should be able to be clean, codified. You should be able to look at them and say, this is who we are, because then it'll
Mhm.
make translating that visual brand identity into social media, into a Shopify website, getting on Walmart, wherever you want to go. Starting the brand comes down to really setting your brand style guide. Um, that's what I would say. You don't have to go all crazy like everybody does. Like, you don't need a 77-page manual to get started, but you do want to have some examples of what you want your products to look like, who your target market is, that kind of stuff. Because then knowing your target market and knowing the product that you're selling, how it impacts them, it's going to really allow you to come out strong off channel, like into social media. And when it comes to growth off channel, probably the number one thing that's going to go in 2024. Well, there's two things. There's going to be narrative approach. You're going to have to be able to tell a story, and you're going to have to be able to tell that story in under a minute to somebody with the attention span of an ant, and it's got to be on brand, and you've got to
Mhm.
keep them engaged. There's all kinds of formulas for doing that. The biggest one is probably going to be the hook. Hook, retain, reward. That's the basic concept of growth off channel from Amazon. If you're selling, what's our client Kids Works? If we're selling a tower for a toddler to come and help you cook or something like that, you have to hook them in with, hey, if you're a mom and your kid is 2 years old and loves cooking with you, but you can never get them, blah 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 blah. Cool, got your target audience. Hook them. You change the images in the background. Go. So it's going to be your ability to tell a narrative story that engages people, but also UGC. You're going to have some type of UGC, whether you pay an actor to get UGC, you get it wherever you get your UGC. There's many apps out there. Billo, we do
Mhm.
UGC in house, but there's a whole network and there's a whole industry on UGC because UGC content works. Other
Mm.
people buy from other people, so they see your product working and they see the kid happy and they see the kid engaged and chopping up cucumbers with his little ceramic knife or something. That's going to make them happy. That's going to sell a tower off of Amazon from social media.
To piggyback on what Cutter was saying there too, is really looking into the niche that you need to fill in the void in the market, right? So, like he was explaining, a toddler tower. So, even from the product development phase, really doing your research, going on Amazon, seeing what's out there, and then making yours look a little bit different or solve a problem that nobody else is solving. A really good example of some of our clients, like Cutter was mentioning, is their product is quality as opposed to some of the cheap junk that people put together. It's a toddler step stool, and they made sure that theirs is high quality, which moms really really care about. And then they came out with a more contemporary style than the others in the market. So really focusing on that, even in the concept design of your product, is going to be huge, because even like what Cutter was talking about with social proof and user generated content, you really want them to be able to kind of speak to that avatar and tell them why your product is better than one that may be cheaper, or the billion other ones that are on Amazon. So starting from day one in that product design for that avatar on social media and Amazon is key.
And just like further elaborate on this topic, if we're talking about starting a brand, um, the way that it's going on Amazon is, I think, best case, Steph, you tell me what you think, but if you're just starting, you should have a plan to start off channel brand building instead of just on Amazon. Because what we've seen internally at Velocity Sellers is that these people will dominate the space. They'll dominate, toddler towers, and then there will be Chinese knockoffs that come in, look the exact same, and undercut price point by $25, and all of a sudden our sales start to drop. And there's no reason why, if people are shopping just based on price, there's no reason why they would pay $25 more. Have If you have brand and you have brand equity, and off channel you can tell the narrative story, like founder stories, all about our material, why we're different. People pay more for brand. than they will for just a cheap knockoff that's in there. So if you're just starting out, invest on off channel and invest in brand building from day one so that you can protect your products. Even if you best case scenario win, organic ranking on Amazon.
Well, yeah, and the brand building alone, but then list building, right? Because Amazon, once you're there, those are their customers. You're not building a customer list from your Amazon sales. So if you start that early by even starting Facebook, social media, I've done with brands where we've set up like 6 months in advance just to get people excited about the rollout of a new product while they're still in development so that you are building that list and people are ready to like, be there with you when you launch it. I've, seen brands with huge successes because they had lists of thousands of people before the product ever even landed at Amazon on top of the social being built. So you're building that follower list, you're building email lists, you're building all of these people that when you turn the lights on at Amazon, boom, the traffic's already there. They're already ready. You're already getting branded search and you'll be a lot more successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And this all goes back to like we talked about in a couple of the other episodes, like building that confidence level, like making sure that people feel good about buying your product and trusting your brand with whatever it is, whatever kind of product you're selling, whatever purpose they need to fulfill in their lives or the thing that they need in their homes or something like that. They trust your brand more than some other brand, even though maybe the other like cutter, like you said, like their product is cheaper, but the confidence that you've built up in them with your images and your content and even maybe your social media, your branding in general, is definitely invaluable. We see that a lot on Amazon and even off Amazon on social media. Yeah, that was a great intro to the rest of the rest of the topics I want to talk about. We talked about a lot of different things in there, so I want to kind of break down a little bit of each one of them, kind of starting with social media and more so maybe your website. So when you have so let's say you have a website, right? You already got one built out. It's ready to go. There's nothing that you kind of have to do there. What are some of the cutter? What are some of the first steps like to maybe even like running some Google ads, like doing some SEO on the website that can really help you move your brand along and really establish yourself as more of a competitive player in whatever market that you're in.
Man, that's a loaded question. If the website is brand new, though, the one thing that I will say is social proof is paramount. If you are a brand new website, like say you're a mid ticket item, like you're selling a fancy, one of these fancy gaming chairs or something like that, and your price point is like $289 for the chair. The space is so loaded with people. Everybody's gonna go look for reviews on you. I mean, review
Mhm,
of this, review of this, review of this
Mhm.
specific chair. And if your website has no reviews and there's like no plan to get reviews, if you start dumping ads in there, you'll make some conversions. You could probably hit, I'm not even gonna say promise ROAS, but you'll probably be at least break even as long as margins and everything else, and you have a decent ads manager back there. You'll probably be break even, but it's the same thing about like it's not brand building is trust building. So
mhm.
you have to be able to come out of the gate with a new website, Google Ads, FB, TikTok, wherever you go, you have to come out with a plan on how are we going to make our site, our like business card and virtual identity trust trustworthy, you know. So I think
Yeah.
it comes down to everything that we've already talked about. Get reviews, like have a pre-launch plan, send out 50 products to people and say, hey guys, really just want to test these out.
Yep.
You know, review the product if you can. Come blah blah blah, and then you get some customer testimonials,
Mhm.
get some actual reviews. I don't know how it works on Amazon stuff. Maybe you do, but like on Shopify, you can get reviews from. You can just request reviews from people that actually have had products. So you can say, product is delivered, then send review request, and you can start to build that up internally.
Right. You can, I mean, obviously on Amazon, you can't terms of service friendly ask people for positive reviews or plan ahead
Mhm.
for that, but you can plan ahead to get your Vine reviews and things like that done before your products ever landed at Amazon. So that's like part of that.
Mhm.
I will say on the Amazon end of things, having a website is so important because people, if they see your brand on Amazon, they're going to go and look at your website. It's the way it is. It's how they see if you're legit. And so, like Cutter was saying, it's not about just starting a website. I'll tell you, I've seen so many brands make that mistake where they start a website. It's just a basic landing page. You click on it and it takes you right to Amazon to the listing. And it's not even really like a real web page. And it just doesn't feel like it's a brand. Like, I agree with Cutter. You've got to really start that website, drive that traffic to it, start building up people that will leave you reviews or testimonials, people that'll do user generated content for you that you can share on your website, on your socials, on all of that, and have it all linked together. Amazon has so many good incentives right now where you can start a Shopify site and connect it directly with Amazon. Super easy to do. Anybody can do it. Drag and drop. Very easy to start a Shopify site. And then, like you said, you can start driving reviews in there. And then before, day one, when your Amazon product lands and you might not have the most reviews ever, you may already have 40 reviews on Shopify because you've already kind of started driving that traffic there and really getting, early reviewer type stuff going on your Shopify site before it ever lands at Amazon. And then obviously I think we'll talk about that later about kind of getting reviews before you land at Amazon, but there's some ways that you can do that as well to kind of ensure that you're going to
Mhm.
get positive reviews even before the product, is fully in stock and ready for sale at Amazon.
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about that on the Vine episode about like kind of like the little hack where you can send your products in and like before they're even ready, get the reviews, and that way when you launch, you have like the 30 reviews right away.
Yeah, so that's part of it. Right, that's part of it. So you can, and that's a really good idea. You should always do that. If you start a new product launch, you should ship in 30 units air freight to Amazon before your main shipment gets here. Enroll it in Vine, get that stuff going. But there's ways that you can actually ensure that you'll or kind of tip the metrics in your favor that you're going to get positive reviews. So
Mhm.
anyone could actually sign their product up for Vine and get those sent in early. That's not really it may like it that hard to do, but in
Mhm.
order to get positive reviews is where people really struggle with Vine, right? Especially in electronics and other things that people maybe don't know how to use right away, and when they're new to Amazon might not have proper instructions. So there's some really good hacks that you can do. I've heard at conferences in the past where you can actually kind of set up your first, maybe say 100 units of product that have a free gift inside. And don't do this just for Vine because that would be completely against terms of service with Amazon. And that's not what I'm recommending here. But I'm saying your first 100 units, like say you sold luggage, you put a little gift on the inside of the luggage and thanking that first 100 people for being one of your first 100 customers, and explain your
Mhm.
brand and who you are and why you developed this product. Even write a little letter in there to your people on why you launched this brand and really who you are. You can put a QR code in there that takes them to more information about your product. And what you do is you don't say anything about Vine because, again, that would be against terms of service. But your first 100 customers that buy your product, you can 100% thank for doing that. If you do that, then you're probably going to ensure that those Vine people are going to be super stoked with your brand and that they're going to get the proper message because, it's probably not a feasible thing to go long term, giving everyone a free gift. But the first however 100 units with a personal letter from the owner of the brand really does go a long way, especially if you're kind of highlighting those benefits and features, because then you'll kind of see those rolling out in some of those reviews that come out because you're kind of pointing out the really good value proposition from your product.
And then just like one like book hack, like in my alternate form, I'm the director of marketing at Tupelo Press. They're a literary nonprofit. And what's cool about Amazon and reviews is that Goodreads is like kind of this unpoliced playground where everybody goes and does reviews of books over there, right? So what's happening now is Amazon is pulling in Goodreads reviews to the book listing. So if you have 50 or 100 5-star reviews on Goodreads, it'll list that in the book listing on Amazon. So terms of service and all of that is great, but that little hack right there is still live. I don't know how long it'll be live, but if you're trying to sell books, you can check it out.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. I always like I said, I always like a fun little hack that can help. make our partners and anyone else selling on Amazon just a little bit easier. So kind of going off of that a little bit, like what are some, like we talked about a little bit about advertising, but what about like any like kind of like I guess it's not really organic, but any kind of like I guess not advertising ways to really build your outreach and really just establish a customer base, like something that can some sort of like maybe like giveaways or anything like that that would really be beneficial to like I said, just building a brand and really establishing a community of people that say I like this product. Like what are some of the ways that we can do that on either the website, on social media? I know Amazon doesn't really allow that too much, but again, talking off traffic, like what can we do to again to establish yourself as a community of people that like your brand?
Well, that's really the power of social media, right? I mean, we can actually build our customer base if we're driving traffic from social to Amazon. Like one thing Cutter and I do with our brands is when we build social media to Amazon, is we'll build a landing page in between, put a carrot there, right? So you kind of put a carrot there. Here's 10% off. Go from Facebook, click here to get 10% off, and then on that landing page, you have them give you their email for the 10% off. Give them a code before you hand them to Amazon. That way you're kind of building a customer list before they ever go there. And then if they don't
Mhm.
purchase, you're starting to build like a retargeting list within Amazon as well.
And that goes back to the very beginning of this conversation where like having a brand guidebook or brand, not just visual identity, but the way that you talk to your customers. Because Steph's idea of putting a gift inside of the first 100 units, um, that's great. That's a great idea. And you can extrapolate from that via SMS. Like if you capture email, phone number off channel before redirecting, you'll be able to say, hey, here's our brand story. Thanks a lot for stepping up and trying this out. You're the first
Mhm.
toddler shower buyer, one of 100 if you purchase our product, you know? And
Yeah.
that can really build equity and goodwill with your client base, especially nowadays if it's more like a heartfelt communication. People are
Hmm.
sick of being sold stuff. So the same reason that, the old school way of doing social media, post 3 times a day, every day to Instagram, it's not working. It's not going to work. It's going to continually do nothing except cause extraneous workloads on humans. It's the same thing in the way that you conversate with your customers. Off channel, you are building goodwill. If you're like what we're doing here, philosophy, we're not selling anybody anything. You know what I mean? We're doing this. We're doing this here as just a bonus piece of information, knowledge building for our clients, whoever's not our client. It's not gated. And so the same way off channel with a brand that's new to Amazon, especially with via the website, incentives, giveaways, 10% off, all of that. When you send that first welcome email can include your brand story. It can include, the founder story, why you built this
Hmm.
product, why you're different. The next email can be some non sequitur, like an educational piece that's like, hey, I know you're a mom of a toddler. Here's 4 ways that we've figured out how to keep them busy, and
Mhm.
then you could have like while you're cooking, have them over here cutting up carrots or something, and then you can, something like that that's more genuine and heartfelt, and it's not as transactional. It's more about building the narrative from day one, the brand narrative and brand equity.
About your passion in building the brand, like really putting a face behind the brand and why you started it will go a long way with your customers. And that's not new. That's an amazing thing that you should always do as building a brand on Amazon 100%, but even like before, so when you're building it off Amazon. And then also other ways too, like putting QR codes on your packaging where it's like check out our website, right? Where they can kind of go there and then cruise through your website or see more product features or maybe get an extended warranty on your product. That's a really good one you can do on a lot of items, beauty, electronics, things like that, where you put a QR code on the packaging to offer an extended warranty. Amazon always offers a 30-day. Why don't you offer a year by putting a QR code on your packaging? And then when they go to that QR code, you put some brand learning information there, who we are, why we want, why we're so happy that you're our customer. And those type of things will implement like them to talk more about you to their friends, to create user generated content for you, or to be your first customer the next time you sell another product, right? Because they love you, they love your brand. And then pretty soon, that snowballs from there. Because then when the word of mouth starts going out, also, you're getting branded search for your product, which I will say 100% the most successful sellers on Amazon are the ones that have people searching their brand, not just a product and finding their brand, right? So,
Yeah. No, absolutely would agree that when you get your brand name search and then you're showing up on like other people's keywords and like they're trying to rank on yours, like that's kind of like, oh wow, like that's kind of when you know you made it a little bit. But then we all kind of goes back into kind of what the next thing I want to talk about, which was this brand referral bonus, and really just driving traffic to Amazon from your socials, like leading people sure to your website, but then also if your main channel is Amazon, or even maybe if your main channel isn't Amazon, just in general, bringing people there. Steph and I were at a conference a week ago, and we heard a lot about this brand referral bonus, and we've known about it for a while. But one of the things that I heard that really stuck with me is that sometimes even the brand referral bonus, which if we don't know, we'll get into it in a second, but sometimes this will even pay for your advertising, which to me is like a no-brainer. Why aren't you doing this? You know, but let's get a little bit into it, Steph. Like let's what do we hear exactly at that conference that was really like, oh my god, wow, like why aren't people doing this? And really, what is the benefit of, besides the brand referral bonus, of just driving traffic to Amazon from your socials and from even maybe from your website?
well, we've actually been on direct calls with Amazon, and they have disclosed that they are really going all in on driving traffic from off Amazon to Amazon. People that are already on Amazon and already searching Amazon are there, and they are, at a market cap with those people, right? So they need more eyes on Amazon. And so, what better incentive for Amazon to talk their brands into driving their social traffic towards Amazon? Brands don't want to do that, right? They want to drive the traffic to their website where they can get an email address and they can retarget their customers. So Amazon knows that, and they're actually kind of going all in on making it worthwhile to drive traffic to Amazon right now. So brand referral bonus is the number one thing that they're giving you. If you do drive that traffic to Amazon, they are giving you 10% back on every sale if you use an attribution link, which is a link that you build within your Seller Central console. Really easy to do. It's in the advertising platform or campaign manager area of your Seller Central account if you haven't found it. You go in there, you build an attribution link, you give that to your social person, or your Google guy, or if you have a website. So many of our clients, their website drives 100% to Amazon because they don't have any other fulfillment methods. So definitely you put that link in there, and then every sale that you get 10% back. But even deeper than that, we're doing a lot of testing on this with our brands right now, and we're seeing lift in organic sales volume, and even more importantly, BSR. So even from when we drive traffic from social media and we get a couple thousand impressions a day, even the impressions, and not just the conversion alone, but just the impressions, are actually increasing search relevance within Amazon. So on top of the fact that they're giving you money back with that brand referral bonus. I mean, think about if your product, some of our clients have products that are $150. So they're getting $15 back on every sale, right? If you sell, to 100 units a month in social media, that's $1,500 that Amazon's giving you to pay back towards your ad spend, which is huge, right? It almost pay like Pete was saying, for some of our clients, that's paying for your ad spend. But I would say the more value in that is it's increasing your search rank, increasing your BSR, and increasing your relevance on Amazon. And as we know, as Amazon sellers, the more that you increase in visibility and organic search rank on Amazon, the lower your advertising gets, right? Like your tacos, because the more conversions you're making organically, the less you have to spend on ads. So it's reducing your costs there. And it's also, of course, increasing your conversion rates because you're all of a sudden being seen as popular on the algorithm to Amazon because a lot of people are clicking, a lot of people are viewing. And then obviously, and number one, we want our listings to be optimized and everything to be on point so that they're converting once they land there as well, because that's really going to give you that volume lift. But even more incentives to really be pushing off channel and having that plan in place before you ever even start your products ever even landed in the USA, making sure that you're really building that brand and having that plan to drive traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, another thing I know we just talked about moving traffic kind of off of your website, but going to Amazon. But I feel like another thing, right, would be buy with Prime. That would be going back a little bit back a topic or two, maybe back to the websites and really helping just increase your conversion rate there. There's a slight increase when websites have buy with Prime, right? Like
Yep.
we've been seeing Amazon, yeah, right. Amazon's been showing studies about how most websites that have it, they just people see that buy with Prime button. And they're like, okay, I trust Amazon. Maybe not so. Maybe they don't trust your website as much, but they definitely will trust 2 day shipping or even like Amazon Pay, like when they check out with Amazon, like checking out with your Amazon account, that kind of thing. So I know that definitely all these like different incentives and tools that Amazon provides to people for either driving traffic from off site to Amazon or increasing your own websites. What's the word? I guess conversion rate really is really just crazy how much they offer to really help you and your brand out.
Well, buy with Prime, I mean, that's a no-brainer. You should always have that on your website as well as, having the Amazon presence because you're right, Pete. It does increase trust, even more so than Amazon Pay because Amazon Pay, is just I can check out without having to really check out on Amazon. But buy with Prime allows people to actually buy with that Prime guarantee. I was just at
Mhm.
the conference last week talking to someone from Buy with Prime at Amazon. They've been doing a lot of really in-depth studies with brands that have signed up for this, and on average, it's increasing conversion by 25% on a website, which is huge.
Wow.
Like if
Yeah.
anybody has a website and kind of knows how much that difference that makes, it's insane. So definitely would be utilizing that buy with Prime feature as well, alongside of your having a strategy on Amazon. Another thing that buy with Prime, you do still get that customer's information if you're using buy with Prime, right? So you're getting on your website purchases, you're getting their email, you're getting their demographic data, you're knowing who your avatar is, like Cutter and his crew, they're in the background kind of seeing who's clicking on the website, who are these people, right? And you get all that data that you don't get from Amazon, so it's actually a kind of a bonus to run your website and then do buy with Prime there, even if you're not driving the checkout to Amazon. If you're selling directly on your website, buy with Prime is going to increase your conversion rate, but you still get to keep the customer, which is a game changer, really.
Yeah, like I said, it's crazy how much they offer to really help you out, and really get this data and just establish yourself again. Building the brand as is all we've talked about. Building that trust using sort of almost Amazon's brand, really like their trust that people have in them, to have like that you said that Prime guarantee. Using that trust to further your own trust in your own website and your own brand and your own products. So absolutely. So I wanted to talk a little bit also about this Amazon Meta partnership. Cutter, what do you got about that? I know that's like going to be huge in 2024, and what are sort of the specs that we're seeing, and what's kind of like what are they working on together?
Yeah, so I'm really surprised that Zuck and Bezos did the handshake on this one because they've been direct competitors for
Yeah.
for attention for people's eyes. Amazon is the place people buy stuff. Facebook and Instagram is the people go and review and check reviews and everything like that. So what's happening now with Meta and Amazon is that I believe that they're going to have a direct integration to the Amazon store from Meta platform itself, so that if you buy product inside of the Instagram shop, that order is going to be routed and fulfilled by Amazon, which is
Wow.
huge because now what will happen is before the way that it works before the data was always siloed. Google keeps its data, doesn't share it with anybody. Facebook keeps its data, doesn't share it with anybody. Amazon doesn't keep its data, doesn't share it with anybody. It's their most valuable asset as business is the data itself. So now what's going to happen is we'll be able to run PPC. Maybe not. It depends on how you run your ads in social media, but say we just run a UGC influencer campaign inside of Instagram for this specific product, we will actually have in-app data that is reliable, which we haven't had since like I don't know 2018 or something, because now the order will be placed on Instagram in the app itself, click buy, and it will be posted to the Amazon storefront. So that you can't even like make that up. That is huge. That's like them building directly into Shopify and allowing like those orders to come across like that. So it's I think in terms of um, synergy, it's the biggest move that's happened. I don't know, like, in a long, long time since iOS cut access to everybody. This is the Meta and the Amazon integration is huge because it's going to allow advertisers like me, like people that like our clients at Velocity, to spend money again in Facebook and Instagram and actually be able to tell if they're working or not. That's the biggest thing is like we'll have true data on purchases coming from Meta for products listed on Amazon without having to hold inventory, without having to do FBA, without having to do any of the ancillary things. The Meta and the Amazon speaking is going to be huge this year. I'm excited to see what happens. Somebody's going to win.
Baby steps on that too, right? Because we're hoping right now, Jeff Cohen came out, Amazon ads, head of Amazon ads, and announced that as of now, the way that the integration works is that Amazon will be running the ads on Facebook. It won't be you, like as the advertiser, it'll be actual Amazon. So it's almost like a form of DSP from Amazon, where Amazon's actually going to pick and choose which products to list there, and they're going to run the ads on Facebook. So as of now, as an advertiser, you're not going to be able to go and run ads on Facebook that people can just check out right there and then it fulfills on Amazon. We can't do that yet as individuals. Only Amazon can run those ads. But I think it's going to snowball into that later on, which will be amazing. But even the fact that they're integrated in general right now is pretty awesome. But it seems right now that they're kind of using it more as a DSP play for Amazon and another place to kind of run that advertising run by Amazon.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, I'm like Hutter mentioned too. I think this is gonna be huge this year, and I'm very excited to see kind of where they go with it.
Yeah.
Kind of wanted to wrap up a little bit talking about Google's specifically. Another hack we heard at this conference, which I thought was very, very cool, was actually running a Google ad to an Amazon listing using that brand referral bonus, that attribution link that you got. And again, just increasing the traffic to your listings and your overall like ranking better. I know we talked a little bit about that with Steph and talking about how well you can rank on uh, just increasing your rank by driving traffic to your listings. Um, it's like again, like looking at everything that we talked about today, like what are some just general SEO tips on Google that you can use to really help drive the traffic, build the brand, etc. As the kids say.
Uh, Oof. I would say probably the biggest thing when you're starting out is to do your research. So there's a whole bunch of tools out here that you can use: Ahrefs, SEMrush, Google Trends. There's many, many ways that you can kind of the same way that Velocity, you guys use Helium or some Jungle Scout or something, right? Same tools exist that from Amazon exist counterpart for SEO off off traffic offline outside of Amazon, and I would say start there first. Um, and the new thing, the SGE Google update that everybody's freaking out about. Um,
The what update? What's that?
there's a new update coming from Google where they're how at Amazon how they're creating those AI generated reviews now. Like
Mhm.
some accounts will like compile all the reviews into one AI
Yeah.
generated
Yeah.
review. So Google has what they have in beta right now is they're doing something similar so that they're using Bard to take, all of the top three, four, five, however many, I don't know what they're ingesting, but when the output is like the AI version of Amazon's review thing. So when it comes to SEO, just create valuable content. Have a narrative that matters to the people that are looking for you. You don't have to do any of the shady black hat things anymore. You don't have to go pay somebody, 200 bucks a month to post 78,000, Reddit links back to your site. Like none of that stuff is going to matter anymore. It's getting too smart. So from from the ground level, from SEO, for brand equity, for social media, for what kind of content to put out, is narrative. Like, have know the problem, know the person, know the solution, and tell it in a way that allows people to relate to it. And then it won't matter what you do for social media, but I mean for SEO, but in general, SEO, find your product, toddler tower, go look up other stuff that comes up when you search in Google, and tell tell your story.
And build trust. Like another thing that I've seen a lot of brands do very successfully before they ever launch on Amazon is do press releases where they'll get their brands put into multiple publications when they launch a new product, because then you can take, once you're actually in those publications, you can actually take those badges and you can put them on your website. So as seen in Good Housekeeping, as seen on Forbes, right? Those things, when people don't know who your brand is, are like, "Oh, well these guys were in Forbes." Right? And there's companies out there that can actually get those done for you, like those press releases where you don't have to do anything. You just have to have the right mind behind getting that brand out there and getting into those publications whenever you launch a new product, even for an existing brand, right? You launched a brand new item, get it a press release going even before that, because like Cutter was saying, the UGC, all that type of brand assets that really kind of show that your brand is legit, who we are. And then when I land on your website, I see three different user generated content videos of moms using the toddler tower, right? And then I also see as seen in Good Housekeeping and those other publications that I trust. Then without even like having a big brand backing, I just launched yesterday, you're already giving people that brand trust over maybe a Chinese competitor that they're researching that doesn't have all of those ideas. So like you're saying, the Google traffic is one thing. Sending traffic, I think, is probably, Cutter can attest, is the easy part. It's converting once they land on your site, or converting once they land on your page. That's the hard thing. So you really have to have all of those ducks in a row so that when they land there, they're ready to convert. And that comes from like building trust from day one, doing other things besides just launching the product on Amazon and expecting buying reviews.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I know we talked a little bit about like the little a little hack we had, kind of starting like when you're starting out, you want to find like a big customer base and really just establish people to talk to. Like Steph, what did we heard that from one of the talkers last week. Like, what was the basic strategy behind it? Like, what was the method and the result?
Yeah, it was an amazing talk by Tim Jordan at the ASGTG conference we were at last week. Amazing conference. Really brilliant minds on Amazon speak there. Love going every year and just listening to different hacks. And one of them that they spoke about was, and we haven't tested this yet, but we're going to, um, is that you actually drive traffic from Google. So you'll build a Google ad, and what you'll do is, say you sold. His example was a cat collar. So say you sold a cat collar and you are a nobody. Nobody knows your brand. You're brand new. So what you do is you go and you look for a complementary product. So we go, okay, well, the person that buys a cat collar would probably buy a cat bowl, right? So we can kind of think that that's the same avatar, the same person. And so what we do is we go and look at Amazon and we see what the top selling cat bowl is on Amazon. And then we check like sites like SEMrush just to make sure they're a big brand off Amazon. Like people really know who they are. There's a lot of traffic driving to that brand. And then once we verify that, lots of reviews, lots of traffic, then we run an ad for that brand. And he was saying that you could run an ad. What you do is you actually run a Google ad for their cat bowl. And he said people will say, why would I want to do that? What if they convert and they buy the cat bowl with my ad spend? We don't care, right? He was saying you spend 20 bucks a day in that Google ad driving to that cat bowl because you're building an audience, an avatar. So you drive that traffic, and then pretty soon you're going to get a ton of traffic because this is a very high traffic item. Everyone knows who sells this cat bowl. They get a lot of views. And so once you run it for about a week, then you go and you build an Amazon attribution link in Amazon for your product. And then you go to that Google ad and you swap out your cat collar attribution link for that cat bowl ad, and then you start driving that traffic to your cat collar instead of to the cat bowl. And then all of a sudden you have this amazing audience, retargeting audience from that cat bowl, that are now being directed to your cat leash or to your cat collar, and you'll just be amazed at the number of conversions you get because you're already in that right organic audience. Like Google has adjusted that to that high volume cat bowl and who they're, because they already know who their avatar is. They've been running ads for 10 years probably, right?
Yeah.
And so the retargeting to those same people will give a really good lift for your product. And they say it's working great. There was a few other people that kind of spoke up from the audience at the conference that had tried it and said it's a really
Mhm.
good hack to get extra traffic driven to your listing.
I remember he thought he was gonna really, he thought he was Tim thought he was really gonna shock Kevin King with that one, and he was like, "Kevin, are you shocked? Are you impressed?" And Kevin's like, "I've been doing that. It's not new."
They're already doing that. Yeah.
Oh, that
We
was
need
very
to do
funny.
it. Like we need to
Yeah.
do it and case study forthcoming. Like just pick somebody and test
Oh,
it.
yeah. We're
Yeah.
100% on it. We'll do another podcast with you, Pete, once we're done testing that, and we'll kind of let you know what our review of that strategy is.
You read my mind. I was just about to say that. It's like, we'll come back with a maybe even like a just a quick 15-minute episode about like, "Hey, here's the data that we pulled," and maybe not the data, but, "Hey, here's like the information that we got. Here's how it works. Like, try it out yourself,
Yeah.
or come to us and let us do it for you." One way or another, we will have some information about that, whether it's on our blog, on our website, or just another episode of the podcast. So, this was an amazing episode. I really like talking to you both about your respective fields, about growing a brand, starting a brand. Everything we talked about was really, really informative for me, even though I consider myself an Amazon expert. Just learning more about, the steps off Amazon, I guess step zero again, that I called it, that I have dubbed the, this episode. Do we have any final thoughts for our viewers? Anything at all that you'd want to make sure that you hammer home to them?
Narrative. Have a story. Have a brand story. Don't start blind. Have a problem, have a solution, have an audience, and tell the story well.
And then have you like, yeah, it's just like Cutter said, have a strategy on both, you know? If you're driving traffic to Amazon, have your Amazon ads guy putting a page one increase on all your branded keywords because people are going to be looking for you on Amazon while you're running those promotions. So really just working with the two copacetically. Amazon, I can't say how many conferences I've been to in the last year where they have emphasized that 2024 is the year for off-channel traffic. And if Amazon themselves is saying that, they're telling you that they're putting a lot of skin in the game there for you. So beyond just the brand referral bonus, it is going to really make a big difference in who survives on Amazon in the next year, on what level of a brand you have, not just like how cheap your product is, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that was great. Like I said, thanks again to you both for coming on the show. Um, Thank you to all the viewers watching, and I'm Velocity Pete, and we'll see you next week.